So, what's the difference between a rock and a rabbit? I mean, it seems super obvious, right? But, when you really start to dig into it, that scientific line between living and non-living gets surprisingly blurry. So today, let's explore one of biology's biggest questions. What does it actually mean to be alive?
You just know instinctively that one of these is alive and one isn't. But what's the actual scientific difference? If we had to sit down and write the official rule book for life, what would rule number 1 even be?
All right, so to figure out where the definition gets a little tricky, we have to start with the standard textbook answer. Let's kick things off with what most of us probably learned back in high school biology class.
So here it is. The standard definition says something is living if it's made of cells and it can do all these key things, like grow, reproduce, and respire. It seems pretty straightforward, right? A nice, neat little package. But what happens when we start to test these rules?
Yeah, because when you start to really poke at these common clues, you find some pretty big exceptions that challenge this simple definition in a major way.
Let's start with a big one, growth. It feels like one of the most obvious signs of life. A seed becomes a tree, a baby becomes an adult. This seems like it should be a non-negotiable rule. But is it, really?
Well, this is because there are two very different kinds of growth. Living things grow from the inside by adding more cells, but non-living things can grow, too, just by piling stuff on. Think about a mountain. It gets bigger over millennia as sediment gets added to its surface. So yeah, it's increasing in size, but nobody would say it's alive. So growth, on its own, it's not a reliable sign.
Okay, so growth is tricky. What about making more of yourself? Reproduction has to be a surefire sign of life, right? I mean, animals have babies, plants make seeds. Case closed. Or is it?
And here's where it gets complicated. For a little single-celled organism, like a bacterium, when it splits in two, is that growth or is it reproduction? It's kind of both, isn't it? The population gets bigger and a new individual is created at the same time. The line is completely blurred. So even reproduction isn't the clear-cut answer we thought it was.
This leads us to a really great question. If the signs we think are the most obvious don't always hold up, what does? What are the non-negotiable characteristics that truly define being alive?
So let's move on to the characteristics that scientists generally agree are the true defining features of life.
First up is metabolism. You can think of this as the constant buzz of chemical reactions happening inside an organism, breaking down food for energy, building new cells. A rock doesn't have a metabolism. This is a process that is absolutely exclusive to life.
Next up is cellular organization. All known life is built from cells, and these cells are arranged in an incredibly organized way. You go from cells to tissues to organs, all the way up to a full organism. This intricate layered structure is a universal signature of living things.
And finally, consciousness. Now, hold on, we're not talking about thoughts and feelings here. In biology, this simply means the ability to sense what's going on around you and react to it. A plant turning towards the sun or a bacteria moving away from a harmful chemical, that's it. It's a fundamental interaction with the world that defines being alive.
So let's put all of this together. We can now build a final checklist, a much more robust set of criteria for deciding if something is truly alive.
So here's the full scientific checklist. It includes the metabolism, organization, and response to stimuli we just discussed, but it adds a few more crucial elements. A living thing also maintains a stable internal environment. That's called homeostasis, and it can adapt over time. It's not just one of these things, it's the combination of all of them that truly defines life.
Understanding this checklist doesn't just answer a trivia question. It gives us a completely new framework for looking at the world around us.
The crucial takeaway here is this. There is no single magic bullet for life. It isn't just a thing, it's a process. Life is what you'd call an emergent property, a complex system that arises from all these interconnected characteristics working together in a highly organized way.
And that leaves us with a final thought. Now that you have this scientific checklist, where do you draw the line? I mean, consider a virus. It can't reproduce without a host cell. Or think about a sophisticated AI. What box does it fail to check? The answer, as we've seen, is rarely simple.